Hello, hello. Hey there, YouTube, slasher chicks and slasher dudes. My name's Alicia, and this is Slasher Chicks TV, where we like to talk about negotiation strategies and building a growth mindset. So you never have to choose between this or that. You can always say yes to this slash that. And in my efforts to either upload a video every day in August or at least do a live stream, I am here in this progress over perfection podcast style format to talk about essentially whatever I want today. This is what's on my mind. It's something I've been thinking about since the other day when I did the live stream with Hey Dr. Ray, and we got to talking about essentially reinventing yourself, continuing to reinvent yourself. Excuse me, I need to clear my throat. Thank you for your patience. You know what? I'll use that as an opportunity to just share this message for anyone who hears it because one of, I think, my gifts in the world is continuing to spread this message to women in the workplace. Is that I don't say I'm sorry at work because I, I'm not sorry. I may apologize if there is a time to legitimately apologize, but it's typically not a phrase you would often hear men say in the workplace, right? They're not showing up to meetings like, I'm sorry I'm late. I will say, thank you for your patience. Thank you for your flexibility. I appreciate your grace. I don't say I'm sorry. And I don't encourage other women to do that either. But that's not the point of tonight. The point of tonight is when we were having this live stream. Hey, Dawn. The other day, and we were talking about kind of that reinventing of yourself. Another life, someone other than me? Who? Ooh, tell me. I'm intrigued. Thank you. I'm glad that you are here with me. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this idea that's been swirling around in my head about because you're in the similar place right now too of this transformation and continued evolution of becoming the best version of yourself, right? Or at least whatever is the concept of the best version of yourself that you have right now. And that means you're going to have to break up with the old you. And what's been playing in my head over and over again is that Ariana Grande song of break up with your boyfriend because I'm bored. And I just keep saying to myself, yeah, you got to break up with the old you because you're boring. Because all the reasons the old you had for not doing the things that version of you needs to do, or all the beliefs and the mindset that version of you had, all of that's got to change in order to be that new thing of you. Yes, break up with the bad habits, like they gotta go because you can't take them with you to that new version of you. And it finally dawned on me to like, because I'm actually pretty good at at romantic breakups, and I say I'm pretty good at it because I feel like I've had a lot of them. I had enough practice. I've never really tried the same things that I do to get over those to break up with the old version of me. Now, one thing that I have found the most healthiest and helpful thing to do is like right when this thing is over and I find myself romanticizing the former uh relationship, right? Where you're only thinking about the good things and you're like, maybe it wasn't so bad. So one thing I learned is like write down all the reasons it was actually so bad. So that when you do have those feelings, you can go back to that list and snap yourself out of that stuff. And you can say, girl, bye. What was you thinking? That is a negative, right? I haven't done that though with the way the old me be acting, right? Okay. Like the Okay, for example, I'm gonna just use YouTube as the example. The old me used to talk about doing YouTube all the damn time. She talked about it. She knew it. She wasn't on there. She didn't say, "You know what? I said I was going live today. I said I was going to do a video every day in August. So that's the only thing that's going to happen. There are no other options." She did not decide that. She did not choose me. And so if she didn't choose me, why I still want to be hanging out with that heifer? She got to go. I gotta break up with the old me because her excuses are boring. They are boring me. No more. And so I'm gonna make that list of the reasons why that version wasn't working as far as achieving the thing and the things that I see for this version I'm becoming. That's one thing that will help me with this breakup. Now, the other thing that I have found helps in those kinds of in my breakups in the past is also like distract myself. Fill my time with something that betters me. Like not distract myself with something that numbs me, right? Like not I'm not saying go binge YouTube all day. Wait. That actually I consider that research. No, but that in itself can be an indulgence to the point of inaction, right? And so thus I would have to break up with that habit as well. But I'm saying I would fill my time with like if there was a hobby or something that I wanted to pursue that I just made excuses for during that time because I'm like, oh well, I'd rather go out with my partner. So maybe I'm not, and they don't want to go ballroom dancing, so I'm not gonna go try that thing. Um, I'm pulling stuff out of actually, I don't know, the ballroom dancing actually might be a legitimate example. That's not okay, that's not 100% true. I definitely the ballroom dancing was like a catalyst for one of my breakups because he was just so not into it. And I get it that it's like not your thing, right? But be willing to try it just because I want to, because I would do that for you. Now, actually, you know what? That's actually what he said. He did say he would try it and see if he would try it once. He just wouldn't commit to long term. So let me be truthful. But it was a series of things like that that made just pointed out we were mismatched. We just didn't want the same things at the same time. Either way, that's my point. Is if I want the things I say this future me wants, I can't act like the thing old me wanted. Acted like she wanted. You get what I'm saying? I gotta break up with that. So, see, yeah, I don't. That makes no sense, Don. Makes literally no sense. If I say I like free concerts in the park just for the experience, I've given you plenty of information. Let's just go to free concerts in the park. But see, here's the thing. This is all right. If old you would have said, "Oh, we'll give him another shot," right? Maybe you need to break up with that you, because maybe the new you says the moment that person tells you that, like, oh, all right, we're just not into the same things. Well, good luck, because you like free concerts in the park. You like experiences. They don't like that. All right, go do what you like. I got no time. I'm I'm very biased right now, though, in that respect, because I'm not anti. Yes, indeed, Dawn. I'm not anti romantic relationships. I'm just not interested in them. That's yeah. Well, and one for me. anyway. I love that for other people if that's something that they want right now. I wish that for everyone because I think they can be an enjoyable experience. I just don't have the time for it or the patience or yeah, the desire. Yeah, I'm okay. I get it, Dawn. I on the other hand am a serial monogamist. Um oh, so you only recently started dating like since you've come into this new like how long? In like the last couple years? No, don't be over it all. It is a refinement process. I would just say this, okay? Here's as a more seasoned lady, okay? And someone who has and when I say like oh yeah, I'm a serial monogamous. Uh I'm joking, but kind of not really. Uh cuz I would never say that I wasted time in long-term relationships because I don't think there's a such thing as wasted time. Like you made choices, you have to live with those choices. Um, but the thing that I would say for you as someone who's early on in dating and you're still like figuring out that about being in a long-term or serious relationship, like it's a numbers game. Just date and have fun right now. You're not looking for anything serious. You're just looking to meet people. Doesn't mean you like are exchanging bodily fluids with everyone you meet. So just, you know, every here we go. This is definitely going to be on target with what I like to talk about because every date is a negotiation. And the only thing you are negotiating is do I want to see this person again? Have has this interaction been cup filling enough that I desire to see this person one more time? Because they need to you where you're also looking for consistency over time, right? So look at every date as just that. It's just a negotiation on whether you want to see them one more time. And they either maintain that or don't. The other thing I would say that I love this awareness. Unfortunately, I feel like I learned it late, but there's a difference between the way a lot of women date and way men date, or let's just say I think there's ultimately two kinds of people. Let's just say that. I don't. May not necessarily be men or women, but there are definitely two kinds of people. There are a group of people who date and um, they date an idealized version of this person and allow that person to um, either live up to it or continue to chip away at it. Versus dating the person that is legitimately just in front of you and giving them the space to show you who they actually are. And then I think the second part of that is then believing them when they show you. Because that's the other thing. As Maya Angelou was not wrong, okay, when she said when a person shows you who they are, believe them. And don't date anybody who doesn't treat you better than you do. And if you don't treat you well, then that's the first place to start. You shouldn't be dating anyone. And that's facts. And you know what? One thing they talk about in the manosphere or the red pill community about like no one should be dating if they feel like they can't afford to date. For example, and I'm saying this as like a woman who, yes, you might expect the man to pay for your date. But what if he don't, girl? You can't be stuck out there. So if you can't afford to possibly be able to cover everything, don't go out. It's not your time, boo. I don't know. That's just me because the dating pool is exactly. Why are you dating and you broke? That's for everybody. If I feel like if you're dating and you broke, then your priorities are jacked. And like we not who what? And right now, yes, my priorities is about money. That's the relationship I'm trying to be in. I'm trying to be in a very deep and intimate relationship with myself and money. So I ain't got time for nobody else. But yes, that exactly, John. They are meant to be reciprocal. They all relationships are meant to be mutually beneficial. Transactional and mutually beneficial are not the same thing, but they are meant to be mutually beneficial. If they're not, why are you in it? What? What have you been dating? Young Johns or old men? Now I need to know. Uh-oh. I feel like my thing is freezing up. Oh no, it's not. Okay. I'm very I oh. Now, okay. Now what you gonna do that for then? Like if okay, let me just ask you this. Because it's you can be young and mature, but would you say said young Jones? Okay, then never mind. You already answered the question. You need to stop. Because I'm making an assumption. I don't know this to be true, but I know that you're pretty successful right now in your career. You're still, building things. You've moved out. You live on your own. Da, da, da. Like you got some things going for you, right? You're not. Yeah, you're not new to this adulting thing. Could they say the same? That's what I would be curious about. Because if not, girl, what do y'all even talk about? Oh, yeah. Oh, that's time to change. You gotta break up with that old you. That whatever excuse she was making for that at that time. You know what? I think the excuse she was making were, I'm new to this. I'm just figuring it out. Okay, well that right now it would be the first thing that we would break up with is that kind of language. We don't use that kind of language. I would rephrase that. Um, how would I rephrase that? Well, you know what? Actually, I I would just say this because it's gonna be up to you to rephrase that. Because here's the thing: whatever, like, how am I gonna say this? I have this phrase that I use where I'm like, you're making stuff up. And so if you're gonna make up stuff, at least make up stuff that you actually want to happen. Because ultimately, like, we're just making up stories, right? Okay, this right here, I'm not even gonna repeat it, Dawn. But what I am gonna do is just show it to you so you know what I'm talking about. This right here is a story. That's a story you've told yourself, okay? Story you made up. Because what happened is you went out on a date with this person. That's the story that you gave to it. Stories are made up. You can make up whatever story you want to. You can make up the story that, that's practice. I just decided to practice with somebody that I knew. Um, I wasn't going to get that wrapped up in anyway. Not that's a different story than that other story. You know what I'm saying? Either can be true. It's whatever you say it is. Cause either way, the story is made up. So if you gonna make up shit, make up the stuff you actually want it to be. Like the story I have made up right now when I see YouTube videos that I'm like, I did that same video. Why is that getting more views from me? Story I made up is they copied me. That's the story I've made up. It feels better. Is it true? I don't probably not. But if it makes me feel better and nobody knows it but me, and either way, it's a story. No one can know if it's true. So that's the story. I like the way it feels. So I'm gonna make up that story. You know I'm a fan of reasonable delusion. And so if you thinking that every man in the world or okay, if you thinking that every man you wants you is delusional, lean into that delusion. N- I'm not saying stalk them, right? Look for look for evidence, but you can still have that belief about yourself. Maybe that's not the best example, but I just think everybody should feel that way about themselves. And if you don't, you practice until you do. Because I'm not saying I always did, but I just practiced until I do. That's why I can't date right now, though. No one deserves me. I finally done the work and ascended to this highest version, and now I'm above it all. Okay, this is, well, actually, I would say this is off track, but it's not because I really said I was going to talk about whatever I wanted to right now. Under the umbrella of this, the old you's got to go. See, if you feel that way, then, there's nothing wrong with enjoying that for some time too. You are still young. You don't have to, no one says you have to choose anything right now, but yeah, exactly. And I do think the more that you, like, your vibe attracts your tribe. Oh my gosh, you are not old. You're like 13. Like, come on. You have not cracked the 40s yet. Okay, so you cannot call yourself old yet until there's you have hit an age in which there are required physical checks that you must get now because you're you're at that time in life. Okay, you can't say you're old. It's kind of no, and you're not there yet. No one's telling you you have to go get mammograms. You're not at colonoscopy age. What's the other thing they have older people get now? Um, if you were what is I don't know, but you get what I'm saying. You can't qualify yourself as old yet. If I could give three advisements on breaking up with etc., what would they be? Okay, the one I would say is, uh, like I said, earlier about I don't feel like anything was wasted time. We as humans are meant to interact with other humans. Like it's just we desire it. We desire community. We desire to be with people. Even if you are an introvert, you still want a tribe. And I think that's part of like why we get in relationships. Relationships are because it's part of our human nature to want to be with others, and that's all. I'm not talking about just romantic relationships, but all relationships. And so, and because of that, that's part of our development. It's part of what helps us shape who we are. And that whole thing about a reason, a season, or a lifetime is legitimately true. So everything happens for our good. So I think the first thing is just accepting that is accepting that all relationships were for your development and trying to figure out, what you got from it or what you learned from it. How did you grow or not? And if it's not, then what are you gonna do about that now? So that would be my first advisement. My second advisement would definitely be um that during the time where you might be mourning the loss of a relationship, well, actually that would be to mourn it. Because I don't think people realize, like, we just try to, move past it or whatever. But if you had someone you care about, a relationship you cared about, whether that be a friendship, a romantic relationship, and now that ends, you mourn the loss of what you had envisioned that your future to be with that person. You maybe it was a good friend that you really thought y'all were gonna get old together and have kids together, and y'all kids were gonna play together, and like now she ain't even your friend no more. Like you have to mourn that loss and like accept that it is a loss. Um, And so I think that would be another thing. Like, actually give yourself the time to mourn and grieve it. Grieve the ideas that you had that like will now no longer be. And don't stay there forever, but allow yourself to grieve it. And then the third thing would be, hmm. Oh, yeah. So the third thing would be while you're mourning it and while you're grieving it, um, can every time you feel your worst, do something to pour into yourself. Like if you are, feeling like you gotta cry and you like can't stop, like, all right, well let that happen, but journal through it. Like, um, or you're trying to go no contact with someone and you're like, oh, I miss them. Like, okay, well, every time you're thinking about them, go work out, go run, go walk, go pray, go meditate, go do something that adds value to you and takes the focus off of this other person that ain't you. Love on you. So that's my would be love you harder in those moments. Um, I feel like I could put a song to every single one. Because, like I said, with the first, the whole thing that made me think about this was the Ariana Grande song, right? And then now on the third one, it would be Love Me Harder. Um, Also an Ariana Grande song. But yeah, those would be my top three. Oops. Would be, yeah. Accept that everything happens for your benefit and that relationships are for your development. When they end, mourn that loss, grieve the things that you thought might have been. And while you're grieving and mourning said loss, just love on yourself a little bit harder than you normally would. And then you probably had been. So that's that's my thank you, Dawn. I appreciate that question because that helped me tie it all up in a bow. Oop, I just pressed mute on my microphone. Okay. I'm getting a little better. I know how to press the mute and turn it off. Um, but yeah, this was not at all what I had planned to do for tonight. But I don't know. I'm also accepting progress over perfection, and my goal is to make sure I get a video up every day in August, and if not a pre-recorded video, then a live stream, and goal achieved. It was a non-negotiable, and my non-negotiable has been completed. So I'm just gonna accept that progress, and what I originally was planning to do for today, I'll do for tomorrow. But yeah, I was feeling called to have this conversation mostly with myself. And so it was fortuitous that Dawn came in, and I'm glad that I got to have the conversation with you too. But it was something I needed to talk about, whether anyone was going to be here listening alive or not. And this was really, helpful to me right now, and just um, keeping going through this challenge, looking at the end of the year. Um, because Donna, I don't know how your 12-week year is going, but this is the last week of my first attempt at a 12-week year, and I didn't do it successfully. I didn't do it right. I definitely accomplished way more than I thought I would in terms of my consistency on my channel, but that was only one of my goals. I was also supposed to lose 10 pounds. I lost one. There's that. And I was also, this is the one I probably am the most, what's the word I'm looking for? I think reticent is the right word. Reticent about. I was supposed to launch my negotiation class, and I made no strides on that, but I didn't follow the 12-week year to a T, and so that's what I'm gonna do the next time. Because there's a specific point in the book where he says it too, and I remember this sticking out like it was foreshadowing. Where he was like, you can't dabble in the 12-week year. You have to follow the process. And what I didn't do was I did not have my strategy sessions, and I think that made all the difference. And so that that's what I would do differently. I had to Google this because I'm a stickler for good grammar, and even when I use poor grammar, that's a choice, okay? And reticent is not it's not the right word, because reticent means not revealing one's thoughts or feelings readily. And I'm trying to say the one I kind of feel a little bad about. Okay. Let me see what's a word for feel a little bad about it. Cuz I don't want to say guilty. I don't feel guilty about it. I'm trying to relieve myself of guilt and shame. They do not add value. Um okay, what is it? Okay, I looked up what is the word for feeling bad about something. Of course, guilt is the first where the well, okay, it's a BetterHelp advertisement, so that's not a surprise. Um, okay. Other synonyms are culpability, disgrace, liability, regret, remorse. Okay, that feels nope. Responsibility. That feel oh no, contrition. Okay, yeah. That's what I meant to say. Okay. So the one goal I feel a little contrite about and remorseful that I did not complete it was that I didn't launch my negotiation course. I made some efforts, but not it was supposed to be launched by the end of the 12-week year. So, but I will say one thing Coach Jerry taught me about the week year that it's not necessarily about the specific goals, but the habits, the mindsets, etc., the systems that should come out of it, etc. So I'm gonna evaluate and do better. That's what I'm gonna do next time. Um, but that's that. That's the live stream for tonight. That is this podcast over perfection podcast live stream type edition. I don't know what I don't know what to call it because a part of me feels like, oh, I should have a separate podcast channel, and then the other part of me is like, girl, you can't even get this channel sustainable. Do that first. So it's just gonna be whatever I post until then, I guess. But I'm glad you were here. Thank you so much, Dawn, for chatting, and we can chat on the IG further. But one thing I must say to anyone who is here live or who hears this on the replay is that if no one else told you today, you were more than enough, and I love you. Good night.